stand up and remove the cover. We're gonna pray. Father, we thank you, we love you, and we praise you for a marvelous day, Lord. We thank you for your son Jesus. We thank you, Lord, that you put us right here for such a time as this, all of us. And we thank you, Lord, that we could affect our community in a positive and uplifting way, and in a righteous way too. And the Bible says that righteousness exalts a nation, sin is a reproach. So, Lord, we're here for a purpose, and we thank you. We ask you to bless our time together as we draw closer to the time of year when we celebrate your birth. Lord, help us to draw near to you, and your word tells us that you'll draw near to us. And so we thank you for this. We thank you for each person here, and we just pray that they will be blessed at this time of the year. And in the coming year, Lord, a year of opportunity, we pray in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Born and unborn. You may be seated. Yes. All righty. Well, we have good news. The malicious harms ordinance has been overturned. And thank you all for your hard work, and those of you that stood before City Council and weighed in. We really appreciate it, and we'd like to encourage you to email and thank Chris Smith, Jack Clary, and Shay Lundvall, and Tim Carsrud for voting to repeal it. We're very grateful for that. And that is good news. I'm going to turn it over to Susan because she can read better than I can. There you go.
Well, I first want to say Merry Christmas to everybody and thank you for coming. And we just love you guys. As we look back, we did a 2025 year in review. And it's just amazing what we've all done together. And we've done this because we love our community and we're concerned about what's going on. And it takes everyone to get these type numbers out. We're going to show you in a minute. And but just a quick review of what we did. January, Jack Cleary brought the hate crimes out to repeal it. So it took 10 months. And he's the first one that brought that to our attention. Jerry Means went over college finances and how they were asking for millions for new offices. And so you can go back on any of these on the Facebook or YouTube channels and watch them. February, we watched that movie we keep talking about. We're not a democracy, we're a republic. March, Lyle Austin, John Baer were talking about the 15-minute city. By the way, the 15-minute city is probably the most popular topic. It exploded in the springtime because we were all stunned at what was going on. And Rolf Arends and Ben Decker brought proof. They brought the actual thick manuscript, and we made copies and put them on PowerPoint. And so we appreciate that. And you can go back and watch it. You should. April, Chris Smith and Trink on the 15-minute city. Mary Brunner, again, talking about school board. May Petty did the elections integrity. And Jack Clary brought up the economic development, lack of producing anything, I guess you can say. And Bob and Jerry were here also. And then June, Lyle was talking about the 14th Amendment. Ben Decker and Rolf's again on the 15-minute city. And July, Laura Cox was talking about the lack of transparency on city council. And we had Clary and McEwen on legislature again. August, Rolf and Chris on nuclear waste. Then we went into the nuclear topic. September, Ed Sisti talked about the cemetery from the information he got from Dean Baumhoff, who's here tonight. If anybody wants to chat with Dean, thank you, Dean, for exposing this. We're all horrified, and many people are still going to the cemetery. And then we continued. Troy, Jack, and Rolf. September, October, John Baer talked about the library. The insurance company giving that money to Terry, and legislative update. And then November, Rick Weeble was here. And that was a fantastic meeting. If you haven't seen it, watch it. We did hand-counted ballots. It's so easy. It's so easy. And so I hope we can do that here. And then tonight we have someone for the first time. Noberto is here. And we'll have Troy and Lyle for updates. So I just wanted to share with everybody what we've done and how all of you have stepped up to speak and share your expertise on these areas. And Merry Christmas, and thank you all for coming and for the difference you've made. Thank you.
All right. To begin our speakers tonight, we're going to turn the microphone over to our CEO of John Patriot of Northeast Wyoming, Lyle Austin.
And I would just like to make an announcement. Those the billboards that were paid for were about $300 short. So, if everybody just chipped in at 20 tonight, we'd break even, and we'd have a little cash left again for some other projects that we'd like to do. When we did the voter counting, Rick Weeble, when he came in and did that last one, which was a really, really decent presentation, but we did, how many billboards did we do? Yeah, 20,000 views on one, those electronic billboards that are out there that you see. So if you've got a 20 spot, please put it in that container right over there, I guess is where it's at. My topic tonight is, are we a republic or are we a democracy? And I bring that up because I've seen some things going on across the state and also across the nation when it comes to, and especially, well, even Fox News says that they say democracy. They absolutely miss it. We're a republic. We are. And how many of you think, or does anybody know where President Trump is as far as being a constitutional president? Anybody know the percentages on that? Well, we get a lot of news media, radio, television, print, online, and whatnot. I'm happy to tell you that he is 90%. Yes. Does that surprise you? Yeah, I checked the statistics today, and there's a gentleman here that lives in town that writes a blog. And I called him, and we had a lengthy conversation about that. There's, and I think a lot of people think this, that President Trump, I should address him correctly, is overextending his constitutional authority, but he's not. I'm happy to tell you this evening that he's actually bringing back the presidency to the constitutional authority that presidents should have and have had in the past. He doesn't get knocked down by the Supreme Court very often. The lower courts are hitting him pretty hard, but once they get to the Supreme Court, and you will probably notice that through his election process, that he had a lot of things killed by the Supreme Court. And the other issue we have on a national level, but also on a state and local level, and we've seen things that are happening throughout the community, the county, and also the state when it comes to all of us, all governments in the United States are supposed to operate on a republic basis. We are a republic, we're not a democracy. And I don't want to get into big detail about it, but I'm seeing this even on a state level as an example. There was a gentleman that we had insured, but he left to go to another insurance agency, and he cited the fact that he was told, because he has a driving under the influence conviction, he has to maintain to the state what is called an SR-22. If for some reason his insurance goes out of force, that SR-22 is an agreement between the insurance company and driver's services in Cheyenne. They will be notified that his insurance is out of force. But he went some other place, and the the other place that he went to, they said, that's fine. We'll insure your 3 vehicles, but go to Dairyland and get an SR-22 for your major violation. And he called me and told me that, and I said, that's not true. That's contrary to Wyoming state statute. So I pulled up the statute. I have it right here. And under the SR-22 filing, it says that if you don't own an auto, you cannot, and it says right on the SR-22 that you cannot own a vehicle. It's a non-owned, and if you own another vehicle, you're in violation of state statute. So he went and got insurance with another company, and on that SR-22, it says the possessor of the SR-22 shall have exact identification of all vehicles registered in that person's name. And the SR-22 does not cover where he went. So we're supposed to be a nation of laws, a republic, okay? So I called driver services and talked to a nice lady there, and she said, no, we don't do it that way. And I said, well, the statute says how to define and how we have to run these SR-22s and what a non-owner policy is. And she said, yeah, I know, but we just tell them it doesn't matter. Just get an SR-22 anywhere. Huh? That's exactly what I was told at Driver Services in Cheyenne, a government entity. So are we a republic or a democracy? A democracy is mob rules. And this is what we're getting with government agencies right now. And Troy is shaking his head. Yes, it's mob rules. We need to get back to the republic that we are. Now, I have just about got this taken care of. But if there's anything out there that you find that's working this way, this is contrary to statute. We're supposed to be a nation of laws, obeying the laws. So get a hold of me. And I've got ways to take care of some of this stuff. We're also having this situation happen in the courts. I actually visit people in jail. I recently had a situation where a young man was arrested at a social gathering, and he said to another young man, black boy, I will kill you. But he used the term N, the word N. He was arrested and charged with a felony for saying that. You're frowning. That is not constitutional. So I talked to his mother at length, and she is taking it. She is, what's that term called? Appealing it to the Supreme Court. She said, I don't care how much money this takes. The legal system cannot get away with this. And then also, and I know people are going to watch this, but they're doing these things at the sheriff's department too. I know another individual that was arrested and charged with 3 felonies for what is actually not a felony, but it would be a civil matter. And you two know who I'm talking about. Yeah. And it looks like she is having to spend thousands of dollars to get this taken care of and only to have it dropped in court. But they went after her. And it was rough. And of course the news media got it wrong. So, and I have had a couple of words with a judge also, with this young man, and also with this individual that was charged with 3 felonies. And it looks like this is stuff that happens when we're being run like a democracy, mob rules instead of a republic, and holding up the law. That's what we're supposed to do. And if we don't like them, they should be repealed, like a repeal of the local ordinance. Yeah. This is really becoming a concern of mine, where we're not upholding the law across the nation on a local basis and a state basis. So we are a republic, by the way. And one of a famous person said that a republic will not stand without a just population. So we have to be just in what we do and be determined to do that. So if you find anything like this is happening, please call me at my office and I can assist in getting some of this taken care of because uh, I called the Attorney General's office and read the statute to the Attorney General. And he said, well, there's nothing we can do about it. It's the determination of the law. It's only a determination. And I said, I don't care what you do with it, but this could cause some issues because you have police officers out there looking at proof of insurances and SR22s and realizing that this person that's driving this car does not have their vehicles listed on the SR22, and the officer is forced to issue a citation when they've been told by the Department of Transportation and the insurance company that don't worry about it. So now the police officer is caught in the middle when the officer is trying to uphold the law. So again, I just want to point this out. We are a republic, but we're acting like a democracy. Thank you. And then, who's coming up next? And you can introduce him. Thank you.
I will. And thank you, Lyle. We will show the second half of that film too on Republic. Are we a republic or a democracy? And that's actually the good part. So we saved the best for last. All right. I guess that's Troy. That's why you're going last. Anyway. Sorry, Norberto. Come on up, Norberto. I will change the slide. Yes. And Norberto, how do you say your last name so we all don't?
Orellana.
Orellana. Okay. Norberto Orellana, chair of the Republican Party. We wanted to have him here for several months now, and he's here tonight. So he's going to share with you a little bit about what he does.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having me. I thought I'd quickly tell you just a little bit about who I am for those of you who don't know me yet, and then I'll go into being chairman of the Campbell County Republican Party and a little bit of what I'm doing and what my hopes are. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from New York City, Miami. That's where I grew up. I did not grow up in a good part of New York City, however. And I was one of those radical leftists. So I'm Gen Z, I'm 27. I'm pretty young for where I am and what I'm doing, but I was one of those leftists. So growing up, I faced cerebral palsy, which is essentially, in layman terms, a little bit of brain damage, and had a bunch of surgeries growing up, grew up in poverty, and was taught to be a victim. And so going through the homeless shelters, growing up, a lot of what I faced in the education system from my own parents was, none of this is your fault, which there's some truth to that because I was a child. But the second part of that was, it's the rich, it's the people in power, it's conservatives. Or if the Republicans just gave us more benefits, everything would be fine. This is the way I was taught. This is the way I was educated. And then I went to one of the most liberal schools in the nation. It's a private school in Colorado. And thankful for the scholarship they gave me, not so much about the quality of the education and what I was exposed to, but it helped me a lot. So I'll tell you one story. I was one of the first days returning from a class with a group that I thought was going to be some friends. And one of the people in that group was part of the whole trans thing. And they were just going on and on and on about how all white men are evil. They're problematic. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, are you joking? And I tried to chuckle to blend in. They snapped back and they said, I wasn't joking. And at that moment, I realized, okay, this is not my group of people. I thought I might have been. I thought I was a leftist. Apparently, I wasn't. And just more experiences like that, going through the 2016 election cycle, seeing how people flipped out, overreacted, started to learn more. I was also at the time an atheist, found Christ, ended up becoming a baptized Orthodox Christian while in college. And so by the time I was heading into my senior year of college, I was a baptized Orthodox Christian. I was married. I had a child. In other words, I did not fit in with my peers at my college anymore, and quickly found myself pushed out, ostracized from this group. I started asking questions, which I figured out really quickly is a dangerous thing to do when you're in these left-wing circles. That got me pushed out even more. And after graduating college, which was right when COVID was starting, my wife and I decided, well, we got to get out of Colorado. We got to get out of here. So that landed us in Laramie. Ended up shortly after that coming up to Gillette for work. So I work in the healthcare industry, do motivational speaking. Just given my background and what I've been able to see, the lessons that I've learned is that our potential is limitless. And I feel for those who are going through situations like mine, because you look at someone with a life story like mine, they don't end up in a place like I am today. They end up perpetuating that cycle, falling back into it over and over again, not because of a lack of capability, but because of a lack of knowledge and a lack of agency. And that's by design. All these welfare systems, that's by design. So many people I've encountered growing up who didn't want opportunities because they were afraid they would lose their benefits. They'd rather just stay on the benefits. But anyways, that brings us to today. I got involved because you can look around any sort of conservative gathering, and even this room, no offense, guys, but the average age of conservative groups is going up. And that's dangerous. That's really dangerous. Who are we going to pass the torch on to? We need to be getting younger people involved. That's one of the reasons I've gotten involved. That's one of the things that I'm trying to do is get younger folks involved because, you know, nobody's a lost cause. And even the blue hair radical leftists, like I once formerly was, they are not lost causes. In fact, these people, I would argue, are in a lot of pain. They are suffering. They don't realize how much they are capable of. They don't realize how much agency they have. And so there's a bitterness and there's an anger, and they don't know where to place that. And I think there is an opportunity for us to fill that void and bring them into the fold. So, as chairman of there are really three things that I'm focusing on right now. One of which is engagement. That's this base level. So I'll tell you, since I first became vice chair about a year and a half ago, and then I became chair this past March, there are people who are elected to the central committee, precinct people who I've never met in 1.5 years. They have never shown up to a meeting. That's a problem. That's a big problem. And so that's something I'm trying to address. Part of this has been in my time with the party prior to becoming chairman. Meetings were very sporadic. We'd meet when required per the bylaws or when a vacancy occurred. But otherwise, that was it. And so one of the first things I instituted, in fact, the very first thing I did is we're meeting every other month. And I don't have the dates off the top of my head, but I've got 3 of them. So the next central committee meeting for anyone here who might want to show up is January 22nd, 5:30 p.m. And it'll be probably at the library. And then we've got County Caucus coming up February 7th, and then convention coming up March 14th. I encourage all of you, even if you're not part of the central committee, come, show up, be involved, engage with us. That's really one of the key focuses that I have. I've been saying this for the past couple of meetings now. I want people to bring thoughts, bring comments, bring resolutions, because, I feel like a lot of people don't even know the party exists. It's kind of gone dormant. And so I've been trying to resurrect, to get it to wake up again, because we have a lot of potential here. When I go to the state party meetings, all these other counties, they're bringing tons and tons of resolutions. They're kind of running the show. That should be us. That should be Campbell County. The other counties should be looking to us. The Wyoming State Party should be looking to us. And I think there's a way for us to get there. The second thing that I mentioned, or the second thing that I'm focusing on, is youth engagement. And I mentioned this. Getting younger people involved, and that necessarily means that the party needs to be more engaged. And I want to bring in a bunch of young people when we're not really doing much in our meetings. We need to start doing more. There needs to be a reason for them to be there, a reason for them to engage. And I think we're getting to that point. And I see the appetite amongst Gen Z, amongst millennials, to go into that conservative direction. Now it's just a matter of outreaching to them and bringing them into the fold. The last thing that I'm focusing on is just educating folks. And so the whole democracy versus republic thing is perfect because that's something that's been on my mind as well. You know, this came up with the hate crime ordinance, Gillette reproductive health. Everyone started going on about, well, this petition got this many signatures. We're not run by petitions. Petitions are not referenda. That's not how this works. And you know, if that were the case, there's no reason to have a city council. There's no reason to have commissioners. There's a reason we have these people. There's a reason that we put them in that place to lead. But another thing that I've noticed is just the deficit in folks understanding the Constitution, whether that be the US Constitution, state Constitution, our statutes, and even the Republican Party platform. Now, I might give the appearance sometimes with all the various things that I quote that I've got it all up here. I do not. I have a very bad memory. It's in one ear, out the other. So, for example, some of you have told me your name today. I've already forgotten it, and I'm so sorry. But what I do is try to be diligent. And so when an issue comes up, when something's concerning, my first turn is to the Constitution, to the statutes, to the planks. How can I quote these? How does it fit? And if it doesn't fit, there's a problem. You know, I was having a conversation with someone, and I'll just share with you all, it's about BWXT, and I've got some constitutional issues with the $100 million. And I made my argument, and someone said, yeah, that's a good argument. I agree with that. And I found that interesting. I basically said, this is unconstitutional. And they said, yes, but that's not how you should respond to that, that kind of argument. It is all too easy to look at what other people are doing. They basically said, well, it's expedient for us. We want the community to get the money. It's fine. You know, it'll go to other communities otherwise. To which I said, well, we've got to stand in our principle. We've got to stand on it. And so little things like that, trying to educate, trying to do so in a gentle manner, and just getting people to be far more active. So another thing I'll tell you, and this was a whole nother disagreement. I got yelled at on the phone over a whole something else, and they basically said, well, I disagree with the party platform. And I said, okay, well, there's a process to change the platform. This is how you do it. Come get involved. They responded to me, well, I don't have the time. To which I said, well, guess what? I have the time, and you just happen to disagree with me, so too bad. But it is true. And for those of us here who are trying to make a change and a positive conservative change, we've got to not find the time, but make the time. We're never going to find the time, but we have to make the time. If it's important enough, we'll make the time to do it. And so that's really what I'm trying to do overall as chairman, is to put in that effort, to put in that time to help revitalize the party. And I think we've got a pretty good executive committee amongst us that we elected, and we're starting to see more of that engagement. I was expecting a lot of pushback on the whole every other month schedule. That seems to have died down. I'll tell you all, this is a secret. Don't tell the rest of the Central Committee members. I'd love for us to be the place where we're meeting every month, where the work that we're doing is important enough, impactful enough, that there's a reason for us to be meeting on a monthly basis. And I think we can get there. But that's enough for me talking. If you guys have any questions, any thoughts, happy to answer. Otherwise, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Questions? Guess not. All right.
Well, I just want to comment. I like your idea to bring the youth in and more engagement. And I think our group kind of filled a void because the party wasn't doing a lot. And so we've kind of met and we studied the Constitution. So I'm really happy to hear this and hopefully we can make it to the next meeting.
Thank you, Norberto. You mentioned 100 million to BWXT unconstitutional. Can you talk a little more to that if you don't mind?
So, and I'm gonna pull it up so I get my facts straight. So yeah, specifically, what I was referring to and my argument here is, let's see. Yeah, Article 16, Section 6, and it says verbatim, neither the state nor any subdivision shall loan or give its credit or make donations to or in aid of any individual, association, or corporation except necessary support of the poor. To which I argued that with a market cap of 15.79 billion, BWXT does not count as the poor or needy. I also referred to some of the platform planks in here. And, one of the interesting things that I've noticed with a lot of these different issues that come up is everyone turns it to just the emotional appeal. So instantly people are like, well, you're anti-nuclear then. And I didn't say that. I did not say that. But they just brand you. They just smear you with that label. All I'm saying is there's an issue here with this money. That's what I'm taking issue with. This is neither here nor there whether I support nuclear or oppose it. I've just got a problem with these grant funds.
Well, you drive home a good point there because what you just read is the law. And the government is breaking the law. And that's what I spoke to earlier this evening when I started the meeting. It's all over, people. It's everywhere. So we've got to get, as a group, we need to get a handle on this and get it slowed down. Otherwise, we're going to lose our country.
What days and times are your podcast? Because I haven't seen it yet. That's just if you don't have one, you need one.
This is a suggestion, I think.
So no podcast yet. I do occasionally post some videos, but yes, that's something I'm looking into, doing something regular like that. So on the Campbell County Republican Party website, my contact information, email, phone number is all on there.
I want to put a plug in that he does have a lot of his podcasts that aren't podcasts yet on YouTube, and it's under his name, Norberto Orellana. And then I also want to put a plug in for his book. Would you tell us a little bit about that, please?
So yeah, I did publish a book. It's on Amazon. So its title is Meteoric, a memoir against all odds, and just chronicles my life story. I've got actually some chapters to add to it since I published it. A lot's changed since then, but it gives you an idea of where I started and how I ended up where I am today. And, the title came from a former mentor of mine who I really looked up to. And one day she stopped and she said, "You're inspiring me right now." She was like, your journey's been meteoric. And that stuck with me. And, my question to myself was, well, how can other people do it? And I've been asking myself that question for a while. If you look me up, you can see I've given a couple TEDx talks, and all of it's been about how others can look at my life story and hopefully see a little bit of themselves, see a little bit of the adversity and struggles that they've gone through, and how they can rise to the occasion and how they can achieve great things. So it chronicles my life story, but it's also meant to be an inspirational, you can do it too kind of book.
Thank you, Norberto. Thank you so much. How many of you think this man has a future in Wyoming? Wow. We're so proud of you and what you've accomplished so far. And we just love to see what's going to happen in the future, and we will.
Management audit. We're looking at February, having a meeting, and we're going to audit the cemetery district. Now, not that I'm devious, but I have a plan. After we do the cemetery district, we're going to go after EEDC. And then we're going to jump past that to the Wyoming Business Council. That's the plan anyway.
Is that each town?
Yes.
So what are the how do I say it? If they're found guilty or they're found wanting or they're found that they've done something wrong, what is their punishment? How are they going to be held accountable for exposed mismanagement?
It's actually, that's a very good question. It's actually a criminal violation.
Yeah, a lot of crime going on and no one's arrested, so what's going to happen?
Well, I think if we do a third-party audit, something's going to happen. We'll keep pushing it.
With what is going to happen, or just something has to happen? I mean, because if we go in with, you know what, we find this is what has to happen, this is what's going to happen. Because once we start setting that precedence, then the Wyoming business is going to be nervous. The EEDC is going to be nervous. And they're going to have to start being accountable, because I'm tired of this lack of accountability.
Well, as Norberto said earlier, reading out of the Constitution, I don't think Happy Girls and the EECD are poverty stricken.
I just wanted to add to your question. I think I have somewhat of an answer because I do liability insurance for boards, and the cemetery board is a board. And I also do bonding for them. So if it's an errors and omissions or malpractice, there's coverage for it. So somebody pays for their negligence, so to speak. But if it's a criminal act, then they have to answer for it.
And like I said, we're looking at the money they've donated to different organizations. How in the world is a cemetery board giving money to the economic development guys? One of my favorite quotes that I heard at the last city council meeting I was at was the city's going to give them more money. Then somebody asked, well, what are they doing with the money they already got? She said, they're spending all the money on labor, salaries. So we're supporting this and they're not doing anything other than collecting a salary? The governor's pushing for another 55 million to go to the WBC. The new director of the WBC, God bless him, he came to appropriations and said, hey, I need between $1 and $1.7 billion to do my job. $1.7 billion? And then they're all going to complain about a measly tax cut, which over a biennium's about 100 million on a $12.1 billion budget. Anybody want to do the math on that? It's not even 1%. But fire departments will dry up. The policemen will go away. Gaming. The wide, wide world of gaming. Thank goodness we got absolutely nothing done with it. Nothing. They were trying to get more machines, trying to get local control of it. It's private industry. Whether you like it or not, if they're paying for it, they should be able to do it. But we regulate it. So, we have a situation. They're building a new track in Cheyenne. And they're limited to about 1,200 machines. And then over in Rock Springs, in that area, there are about 2,500 machines there. And are you ready for this? Those machines are set up to develop purse money for live horse racing. That's why it's not gambling. I'm just telling you. So let's talk about Natrona County. Second most machines in the state. They don't even have a horse track. So I asked them, what are you doing with that money? Well, one of the other representatives from Casper spoke up before he could answer it. They're putting it in their pockets. Like, why don't you use some of that money to fix up the track? If you're going to do it. But what do I know? School facilities. Build it and they will come. Well, now the committee's trying to get the genie back in the bottle. Over the Green River or Rock Springs and the school here, quite frankly. There's a procedure for it, and we didn't follow it. Rock Springs was a footnote in the budget. A footnote. Oh, by the way, look at the shiny object. Why we spend $130 million or so on a new school, plus the 8% inclination. Yeah. So we're trying to get that under control.
What's the new high school year gonna cost?
About 155, 160 million.
And they just spent what on an aquatic center?
40.
Plus,
It doesn't even have a parking lot yet, does it? Anybody?
I heard it was flood. The pool can't hold the water, I guess.
The paint's
Gordon-
coming up.
Yeah, the pool can't hold the water, so it's flooding the parking lot. That's what they were saying.
They wanted.
I can't make this stuff up. The number one and number two priorities of your city council is expanding softball fields in the field of schemes. Okay. So the county commissioners did a resolution not in support of the 100 million the state's getting ready to give BWXT. A multi-billion-dollar corporation. Well, Scott Clem and Jim Ford wanted that money to go. So they wrote a letter on county commissioner letterhead, sent it straight to the governor. Oh, we love this. We want it. They didn't even tell the chairman that they were doing it. First of all, it's questionable whether they can use the letterhead or not. I believe they broke the law. Kind of like the NDA.
What law was it? Because I want to look it up.
4 county commissioners.
Yeah,
I got it right here.
I'm not sure that qualifies because I don't know that you could prove that it was for personal gain. The other applies.
Doesn't have to. They Commissioner Clem used the county attorney for about 3 hours to go through that.
Oh.
Misappropriation is what.
Yeah, it's misappropriation of funds. So it's either personnel funds, material. It doesn't have to be for personal gain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's personal in nature. I'll show you here in a second.
So the conversation right now is about Scott Clem using county letterhead to write a letter to the governor, okay, and the county attorney. But understand this, county commissioners don't rule individually, they rule by majority.
Yep.
They broke the law.
Yep.
Did I get that across straight?
You did.
Okay.
You know what the beauty is? I can do whatever I want with my letterhead. I'm a state senator. And it just has my name on it. I certainly wouldn't use it for personal correspondence, though. I think that's about it. Anything good? I think the tax bills are looking good. Agriculture, we've spent hours upon hours trying to determine landowner hunting tags. Whether they can sell them or not, how many they should get. That's funny you bring that up. I'm going to answer your second question first. There is an area in the state that still has it, a truck stop on it. Until last year, it was tax exempt because it was state ground that they were leasing. They weren't even paying taxes on the building. So that's been fixed. Uranium severance tax. There is a severance tax on it. It's 0 to 4%. And the way it's computed is so screwy that it always ends up at 0. It's based on the amount they pull out of the ground. So they just take a little at a time. I mean, how much uranium do you really need? Unless you live in Campbell County. And and we start building fuel, they're not happy either. So I've kind of gone after BWXT in a different light. We put a tax, an electricity usage tax on them, or we're trying to. They're not happy about that. And they want property tax forgiveness after they build it. Kind of like those data centers.
And we're paying them $100 million to build it?
With no obligation.
Yes. Well, we're pushing it. It's being pushed.
Rebecca Bexel is exposing a whole bunch of stuff going on with low-income housing. People are building it. Are you following that?
Oh, yeah.
Can you share what's going on?
Yes. What they're doing, especially in Teton County, is they built, quote, affordable housing. Yes, we do.
3 counties.
Yeah.
Albany and
But the people renting them aren't poverty stricken. It's secondary homes for a lot of rich people. That's right. We have some, I was shocked. I didn't realize we did it, but down by Pronghorn, they have some there. Ucross has some. Now, here's the interesting thing about Ucross and all these places. They have to charge what the market will bear. So an equivalent apartment or whatever, they have to charge about that much money. So the school system's now in the real estate business. They're not providing much of anything. But yeah, I hate to have Rebecca be mad at me. She's pretty wicked when she wants to be. Let's see. That's so much. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I have a question about affordable housing. If the issue is a shortage of housing, it's going to be because builders don't see sufficient profit to building a house here. So if you make adjustments to increase their profits, the difference isn't going to go to reducing the price of the houses. It's going to go to making up the deficit that they see in their profit margin. So if you make them cheaper, crappier, more cramped together, it's not going to reduce the price of the houses. What's the logic behind building affordable housing? How is that going to bring the prices down?
Well, here's the real question. Why is the government even involved in this? It should be privately run, and if there's a market, they'll build them. If there's not a market, they won't build them. But now you got the government competing with the contractors, which they use your tax dollars to do it, and eventually it just causes housing prices to rise.
Aren't they going to pay the contractors to build them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's government money.
Our money.
That's right. You're paying the contractor. I'm paying the contractor. Kind of like the Oprah show. You get a new car. You get a new car. Here's an apartment for you.
So how do we stop it?
Through recalibration and how we fund them. Now here's not some good news. We haven't passed a school recalibration funding bill in 15 years. It just sits and gets voted down. The WA and the NEA are pretty powerful unions or lobbyists, and they scare everybody. But I think Donald Trump's going to fix that. He's going after the Department of Education pretty hard. And if he gets that done, there won't be a need for an NEA. And if there's no need for an NEA, well, we might find a way in Wyoming to keep the WEA alive. But so that's looking good. I think school recalibration, we hit busing, food, superintendents pretty hard. But we did give all the teachers, just the teachers, a substantial raise.
Again, or the one that they got but they didn't get?
Again, the one they didn't get. You know why we didn't get it here? Because we have a planetarium in Area 59 or whatever they call that goofy place. That's where all that money went. Okay.
What is your opinion of Governor Gordon's latest press release about the hospice layoffs?
Why? Why?
It's the largest layoff in Campbell County history, don't you know?
No, it's not.
It's a construction job.
The mines laid off 600 or 800.
Yeah. We never heard from it then.
No. I think it's, here I go. Pure opinion. I think the elites are trying to protect the hospital.
I thought it was to open the door for why we need BWXT with their jobs.
That's a possibility as well.
That's, yes. Well, Mr. Clem spoke up one day and said it's going to bring 2,000 jobs into the county. Maybe 200. So, and we're not going to see any of it, especially if we don't tax them. It's like I go back to the data centers in Cheyenne. They don't pay sales tax on computer equipment. It's about 180 million a year. But they bring good paying jobs. And 40% of them live in Colorado.
I have a question regarding the state and the 30 billion you said that's in savings. Is there a cap on that? When is enough and what is it there for? Rainy day fund?
Here's what they do. There's not a cap on it. They can keep putting money into it. And then they invest it. And then they use it to pay state employees.
Invested it, why aren't we getting dividends off of that investment?
Exactly.
You know, I understand 80% of our energy gets shipped out of this state. Why is my electric bill $300 a month?
Bingo.
If 80% of this stuff, and I have to deal with the roads, I have to deal with the air, why is my electricity so much money?
Well, they'll tell you it's because we're rural.
Oh.
I see it right from my house.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Solar and wind are going to get taxed quite a bit more.
Are they gonna tear them down?
I think it could kill the wind industry.
Yeah. Please, tear them down.
Because my understanding is by January 2027, there'll be no more federal subsidies.
Well, they're ugly anyway. 27. Such a red dye thing. Why isn't it 27 to get it out of it? You know it's bad, do it now. What's wrong with right now?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Does anyone know what it would cost to take those things down?
They typically don't. They just let them rot right there.
Here's the beauty of that.
That's what's happened in California.
Everything has a duty life. You can't just lease
The landowner is responsible for removing it and reclaiming it.
What?
Yeah.
No. Well, that's true. They do get money every month to have it.
I have a classmate in North Dakota that has 12 of those on his farm. That's $120,000 a year.
For 12 of them?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what they're responsible for the tear down.
Well,
But I don't know how John Q. Farmer or rancher is going to tear it down. The concrete block underneath it.
I'm sure it's a pretty big acre, because that's a long way to.
I think it's close to 40 foot. It takes a ton of concrete.
Well, that's exactly what they're doing is they're burying in the heavens, then you can see the pile of junk over there.
Yeah.
It pisses me off every month to know that 80% of our resources get shipped out, and I have to work X amount of hours just to keep the lights on in my own home.
The other thing that'll probably make even more mad,
Uh-oh.
the companies that are buying that electricity and stuff aren't even from Wyoming. And we can't charge them more because of the Commerce Clause.
Well, you can't charge them more, than how come they charge me more? It doesn't cost them any more.
And they sell it cheaper.
Rural.
It just doesn't make any sense.
No, it
Common
doesn't.
sense.
Common sense.
Exactly.
I'm from the government. I'm here to help.
It's funny, but not funny.
Well, I think that's it. And I went way over time.
Thank you, Troy. I'm going to end this with something kind of humorous. I know that the Sistis were out at the craft show that we put on, and we had food left over. How was the chili and the soup? It was delicious, right? You did, and I didn't get a chance to. You came to, and I didn't get a chance to talk to you the second time. So we had food left over. We gave a lot of it away. So, me being head of the kitchen out there, I suggested that we give some of it away. But what we didn't give away, so I contacted the homeless shelter and I said, we have a bunch of chili and soup we can bring over to you. And they said, we don't want it.
What? Really?
Yes. Why not? Well, we can't accept pre-made food. It has to be made on location. And I said, well, the who inspects kitchens? The health department. We got inspected while we were making this stuff. It was already inspected. We don't care. We can't accept it. So it gets a little bit funnier than that. So I thought, well, I'll give it to a county agency. So I was doing a jail visit at the jail this afternoon, so I took it with me. And when I got through with the jail visit, I walked over to the sheriff's department and told the lady in the window that I had 5 gallons of potato soup. And she said, what am I supposed to do with that? And I said, well, you've got a staff. And she said, well, we can't feed it to the prisoners. And I said, I know that. You've got hired contracted staff that makes meals for, and it's horrible food, by the way. It's horrible. I've seen it. So she said, I'll get the captain out here. So I waited 20 minutes for the captain to come out. They're busy. They're really busy. He came out and he said, what's going on? And I said, I've got 5 gallons of some really good potato soup that I'd like to give the staff to eat. And he said, we don't have room for it. I said, what do you mean you don't have room? You got a fridge back there in the kitchen. Yeah, we do. I finally talked him into taking the soup because I was going to have to throw it away. 5 gallon of this wonderful, wonderful soup. And he said, well, okay. He said, bring it in. Excuse me, Captain. I'm not carrying this. I'm giving it away. You get your butt out there and get it. And that's what I said to him. I don't have anything to carry it with. And I said, well, you've got carts, don't you? Well, I guess I could get one of them.
Guarantee if you had donuts, they'd be out. I'm just joking if you guys.
Well, and it's kind of comical because when I'm waiting in the hallway for them to bring me prisoners, the officers are walking like this down the hallway. There's no hurry because guess what? There's no competition. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you. This is kind of sort of where we go with county entities in our community. Thanks for coming.
Yes. Until you get a government contract, which is always cost plus. So when the government contracts with somebody, they basically guarantee they're going to make X amount of dollars versus what it really costs. I thought you guys would all get a kick out of that one too. Do this story. I forgot to turn in my incorporation paperwork. So when I was in session, I walked over to the Department of Theft, or I mean Revenue. And when I got there, there's 7 people sitting in front of a computer. 7. I think they were playing Word with Friends or something. It took about 5 minutes for one of them to finally get off their keister and find out what I needed. And the others were, I don't know what they were doing. They certainly weren't getting data for me on the revenue side of the house for what the impacts of taxes are. Of course, then there was the late fee, which was another $100, which is fine. It's in statute. Should that make us a republic in that case? So we're going to push that through. Another exciting thing for me is we're actually putting a tax up on solar, wind, and nuclear. And right now that's $1 per megawatt hour, which make up for the shortage in sales tax, huh? That's exciting. We're also have a bill to extend the long-term homeowners, or what I like to call the Methuselah bill. It's better than another name it's been called. So we're going to try to make that permanent because that's only good for one more year. And then coming up, hopefully we get it through. There'll be 2 ballot initiatives. One of them's definitely going to be on the ballot, the 50% cut with no backfill. So I think everybody in here will vote for that. I know I will. And the resolution gets rid of residential property tax in its entirety. It's an unconstitutional, corrupt, terrible, horrible, nasty tax. And the reason I say it's unconstitutional is the beginning of the U.S. Constitution guarantees us life, liberty, and we can own property. Well, I don't know how you can say you own your house when you're paying on it in perpetuity. So hopefully we get that pulled off. I think it's got a decent chance, especially since it's an election year and it's a resolution to go to the ballot. I don't think a lot of my peers, well, you never know, but vote against letting people decide what they want, kind of telling them you don't know what you want. So we'll see how that works out. And then on the republic versus democracy, I'd like to tag in on that one too. In a democracy, little Timmy owns a bicycle. And the neighborhood all gets together and decides little Johnny should have the bicycle. And they take the bicycle and give it to little Johnny. In a republic, little Timmy owns the bicycle and the mob can't take it away from him. That's kind of a simplistic view of how I look at that. School recalibration. As you saw, there was a stay put on the lawsuit. Well, that kind of was a feel good for a little while thing, but it went back to the courts and they're going to stand on it. And there's stuff in there that a laptop for every student, K through 12. What is it, kindergartner? I mean, and the K through 3, they can't take theirs home. They have to leave it at the school. And they're pushing for counselors, full-blown counselors for K through 3 now. So your second grader can get all its mental illnesses fixed. It's just getting out of control. One of the things I put in the recalibration bill was a limit to what a superintendent can make. 2.33 times what the average teacher makes. That includes benefits. And if you don't realize it, a lot of the superintendents have health savings accounts that they get money put into, vehicles, housing allowances, clothing allowance sometimes. And they come to these revenue meetings, and the superintendent from Teton County was complaining that they didn't have enough money. Well, I had to ask her, our teachers don't make enough money. So, well, we just gave them all an 8.5% raise. And if I check your county out, not a penny of that made it to a teacher. Not a penny. Campbell County was, I think, about 3.5% increase. Yeah. And the superintendent. Update on the swimming pool. Excuse me, the World Class Aquatic Center. The paint on the pool's coming off already. The windows have huge gaps. There's about $8 million worth of work still needing to be done to fix everything. It's just ludicrous.
With that, we are going to turn the rest of our time over to Troy McEwen, Senator Troy, who's going to come up and give us some updates and tell us how an ice cream cone licks itself.
We can talk about pole vaulting mouse turds too. Okay. I kind of talked a little bit about some of the tax and revenue bills we're trying to run. And since then, I've become quite famous with Scott Clem and Ogden Driscoll. They think we're taking power away from local communities. That's ridiculous. We're just collecting taxes in a different form. In fact, it'll give the communities more autonomy. And since it's tied to sales, they'll actually have to do a budget. Not that they don't already. Be careful, step on county commissioner toes. And maybe city council people. But the beauty of it is, we're going to change the distribution too. Right now, it's 70 goes to the state, 30 goes to local governments. And we're looking at changing that around too, so that the cities, municipalities, and counties will get more of the sales tax dollars than the state. Because the state gets it, and what do we do with it? Dole it out to the counties, cities, and municipalities. And you're right. I think our lovely governor wants to put another $700-800 million into the reserve account this year, which is well above $30 billion. It's out of control. The sales tax initiative will cut about $50 million a year. But if we switch it around, the state will take the haircut and not local people. I don't know if I've told